Hello everyone and welcome back to DiabloCast, your Diablo 3 podcast. Here we keep you up to date on any news and updates in the Diablo universe and share with you our thought and opinions on anything that has been going on. As always, I am your host, Dennis Force Duhamel, and again with me, as always, is Kevin Sixen Carlino.
What's up, everybody?
And what's turning out to be a regular guest here, Dylan Tempest Foot. How you doing, Dylan?
Oh, fantastic. Good to be here.
Yeah, excellent. So we're glad to have everyone on board, and let's talk about this week's topics. Today we're going to be taking a short basically look at the recent news that took place. There's actually been a lot of blue posts and stuff going on over the past couple of days, so it is leaving us with a few things to talk about. First and foremost, just a quick mention of the Blizzard video contest that took place recently. Also, the Diablo 3 showing at the upcoming GamesCom event. Also, some discussion about alt options in Diablo 3, the tiered skill slots, and then lastly, a brief mention of the auction house. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump right into this week's first topic, which is going to be the Blizzard video contest. Alright, so recently as part of Blizzard's 20th anniversary, they had a video contest basically asking fans of the Blizzard franchises, StarCraft, Warcraft, and Diablo, to go ahead and send in a video about any basically thoughts or memories or opinions of their gaming history with any Blizzard games. And a quick notable Diablo 3 related mention, or just Diablo in general, is that one of the, I believe it was 8 winners total, there was a top 8 out of all submissions that were brought in, and one of them is basically a guy talking about his Diablo experiences, just making mention of his history in Diablo and any kind of great memories that he had with the game. Now, obviously, I didn't send in a video, and I don't think Dylan or Kevin did, but do we want to just take a moment to maybe toss in our own little kind of nostalgic feel here? You guys have any really great memories? I guess we can start with you, Kevin. Any huge memories from the Diablo franchise growing up?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, Diablo was one of the first games I played from Blizzard way back when I was a little youngin', and I remember I used to sit there and watch my dad and my 2 uncles sit there and play, and this was back when I lived in Jersey. So it was my dad, 2 uncles, and then an uncle on my mom's side. He lived out here in Arizona, so I mean, occasionally he would just drop out of the game because the internet was so crappy back then. But yeah, I mean, I used to just sit there and watch, and life was great. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's like, I don't know. It's just an experience. I can't explain it, Dennis.
It's just a feeling.
I don't know.
It's just a feeling that he gets.
Exactly. That was cool. That was fun stuff. And then I started playing, and I mean, a lot of my cousins started playing. So I mean, it was a big family thing. It's pretty cool.
Nice, very cool. And how about you, Dylan? You got any big memories from Diablo in your past?
Yeah,
or is it all one big haze? I mean,
just a couple. I mean, I don't know. There's just so much, memories, and makes you really think back. Everything from, hiding, pretending like I wasn't in my room from my girlfriend during college. I mean, just think of me cowering, behind the door. Just playing, hoping she didn't hear the sounds from Beautiful Woman. To playing at my house and having you Force and my buddy Sean sneaking in because I wasn't answering the door.
Yeah,
but
that happened on numerous occasions.
Numerous occasions, yeah. I mean, going through my basement, I still don't even know how you got in there.
I remember sneaking through downstairs windows to get into your house. This is all really creepy stuff, but
yeah.
No, and it's I mean, specifically mentioning that, I mean, I know that a lot of my Diablo playtime, or maybe even just like watch time, was hanging out with you. I remember my computer at home when I was younger was really crappy. My parents had just the worst computer in the world, and the internet was awful as well. I mean, we had one of those, those 7-day free AOL trial CDs, and we just kept on getting them.
Using them.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I mean, it's definitely a great game, and I think with anything gaming related, I mean, not even just specifically Diablo, whenever we think about games that we played in the past, it always reminds us of kind of where we were, in our childhood and who we were hanging out with and what we were doing. I mean, Halo obviously brings up certain memories for me, and any of those games. I know, Dylan, you and I played a lot of StarCraft. I remember just taking turns, bouncing back and forth, playing StarCraft in your house,
Oh, absolutely. Just the amount of StarCraft we played, but, even before that, I mean, GoldenEye on 64, and Zelda.
Yeah.
I mean, it just makes you think back to a place, so much further back than you are now, and the progression that gaming has undergone and exactly, what it's done for you. I mean, most people are like, oh, what do you gain out of video games? Well, I've gotten, tons of time with, my best friends, so.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, and that's what it is. It's just a hobby to be with friends. And actually, that's pretty funny because you mentioned GoldenEye, and I know, Kevin, you chimed in your vote of approval for that as well. Something I kind of missed about those days when the internet scene wasn't rampant is that's when you're actually hanging out with people.
Right.
I mean, you'd actually have your buddy right next to you, so if he got a headshot, you could punch him in the shoulder.
Punch him in the face.
But no, seriously, I mean, that's pretty interesting. Either way, pretty cool stuff, and specifically, this is basically the kind of stuff that they were looking for in the Blizzard 20th anniversary video contest, if you will. So pretty cool, and actually the winners, the top 8, I remember, Kevin, you were telling me they received some sort of prizes. Where were they specifically, or basically ballpark?
Yep. I don't know exactly who got what, but the prizes were all expenses paid trip to BlizzCon, some StarCraft and whatever gaming gear from like Razer, SteelSeries, and whatever else. They could get one of those big drinking mugs, like those beer mugs from BlizzCon. I don't know if you guys have seen them. They're It's from Tavern Craft. They're like huge.
Nice.
They're like $100. They're pretty badass. And then an action figure, I'm guessing, for World of Warcraft, and then same thing, custom poster with your character from World of Warcraft.
All right, so next up, we're going to be talking about the upcoming GamesCom event and Diablo's showcase at it. Now, initially, at GamesCom, we actually weren't expecting to see Diablo. When Blizzard initially made an announcement about them attending GamesCom, and if you don't know, GamesCom is it's a giant gaming convention, and it's going to be taking place in Cologne, in Germany this year. I believe it starts on August 17th, and it goes until about the 21st. But Blizzard had mentioned initially that they will be going there with some StarCraft 2, Heart of the Swarm content, and also some World of Warcraft content, and people would be able to play. There'd be tournaments and all sorts of jazz. Well, it was recently announced that Diablo 3 will also be there, and more excitingly for any European Diablo fans is that there will be some playing available for them. Specifically, there's going to be a demo. Now, we got some note from Bashok as to what this demo may be precisely. Kevin, you want to let everyone know about what they can expect from the demo at this upcoming Gamescom?
So the demo at this Gamescom is going to be the exact same build as the BlizzCon 2010 demo. Mm-hmm. What happens is, because a lot of the people that will be attending Gamescom will obviously not have gone to BlizzCon. I mean, just because Europe, America. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there might be a couple, but for the most part, people are going to BlizzCon 2010 that already went, and the people that are going to Gamescom probably won't have been to both.
Yeah.
So they're going to play the BlizzCon 2010 demo. Even though there's been some things that have changed recently, they just want to give the people in Gamescom a chance to see what the BlizzCon 2010 demo was all about, because I mean that was when they announced PvP for the first time, and the Demon Hunter actually.
Yeah.
So they'll get a chance to play some PvP. They'll get a chance to check out the Demon Hunter, catch up on anything that they might have missed. And then hopefully we'll see the beta soon thereafter.
Yeah, and we can actually talk about that in just 1 second. But I guess, I mean, besides, there's going to obviously be more than just the demo. They're not just going to go there and be like, here's the demo, stand in line. I mean, there's a very good chance that they'll be having maybe some discussions and announcements. Do you know much about the prior Gamescoms and kind of what took place in terms of reveals and everything, Kevin?
I think at the last Gamescom they announced the Artisans. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, I don't think that they announced anything prior to that at any of the Gamescoms. I'm pretty sure that Bashok had said that at last year's that they were planning something. I don't really remember. I mean, it's been a year now. Mm-hmm. But I don't really know. Honestly, I don't think that they're going to be announcing anything. If we're going to see the beta on August 1st, I honestly think that we're going to be able to release everything that they give us, because so there really won't be anything left to announce for them if we're actually checking out the beta. I don't know, and I'm kind of surprised that the beta won't be there. So, I mean, Bashok made it a point to specifically say that it's going to be the BlizzCon 2010 demo. So that just means that the beta won't already be out. If the beta was already out, they would just load up the beta client on those computers, as opposed to a year outdated BlizzCon demo. So I mean, I'm kind of curious as to how this is going to play out. Yeah,
I mean, obviously we don't really have any way to know for certain, but I guess your thought process is at least right. I mean, I guess that would make sense that, if the beta is starting before Gamescom, then if they're going to have anything playable Diablo related, why would they just not release the beta client? And really, I always love to counteract whatever we're talking about at all possible, but I can't think of any big reasons. Do you have anything that comes to mind, Dylan, as terms of why they wouldn't be giving the beta content if it was out?
I've actually been racking my brain because I'm like, nope, want beta. So I want to be like,
so let me find some rationale behind it.
Well, that's exactly it. And I'm coming up with nada. It just doesn't seem like it just seems like they would be much more likely to just like, okay, there you go, take a look and build up even more hype. So
I guess my only point of contention would be that maybe. If they do plan on having the beta client there at Gamescom, but Pashok wouldn't want to mention it because it'd be a dead giveaway. But I guess Kevin, you had a counterpoint to that. So
yeah, I mean at that point he probably would have just said yes, we'll be at Gamescom and left it at that instead of specifying the BlizzCon 2010 demo. I mean at least that's how I feel about that.
Well, hopefully Blizzard's decision doesn't make sense, and they will have the beta out, and they'll still be giving the demo regardless. I don't know. I mean, that's fingers crossed. But I really don't expect the beta on August 1st. I don't. I know we'll be getting a first look at the beta during that press event, so that's exciting. We'll know. Hopefully, all the systems will be in at that point as well. But I don't expect it on the 1st. I'm still hoping for a mid-August, but it's a tough call right now.
I mean, the only thing that I could possibly think of is that they have to have those computers set up and ready like 2 weeks prior to Gamescom, which would put it like just before a possible beta, So maybe if they have to set it up two or so weeks before Gamescom starts, and they got to give them the computers and whatever else, and the beta actually isn't out yet, and the beta gets released, in between that 2 week time frame. I mean, I have no idea. I think that's a little far fetched, but I guess it's possible.
All right, so that's pretty much it. Yes, Diablo 3 will be making a showing at the upcoming Gamescom. It is going to be in Cologne, Germany, starting August 17th. So if you're interested in attending and you live anywhere in Europe, definitely go ahead and check that out. All right, and now on to the bulk of the podcast. We're going to be discussing, as prior mentioned, alt options in the game, tiered skill slots, and the auction house. Let's start off with the first major topic, the alt options. There was a question raised on the Battle.net Diablo 3 forums discussing how we will be picking up gold, how we will be picking up loot, and just specifically how picking things up is going to work in the game. Well, one of the first major bullet points is that you do not need to click gold to pick it up. You can just run right over it, so no more spam clicking 10,000 times for all the gold and gear that drops on the ground. It'll be cut in half to about 5,000 for just the gear itself. But in terms of visually how things are going to work, the major concern was, am I going to have to cramp up my pinky finger holding, or not even my pinky, it could even be your thumb, I suppose, that'd make more sense. But am I going to cramp up my hand holding down Alt the entire time I'm playing Diablo 3 just to see and make sure I don't miss any of the gear? The answer is no, that they will have several different options, and I'll just run over those very quickly. So the first default option is going to be something drops on the ground, the nameplate will show for 10 seconds, and then it'll fade away. If you hit Alt again, then the names will show up for another 10 seconds. So that will be the Diablo 3 default when you first install the game and get straight to playing. Now, they will have specific options that you can choose. You can do the old Diablo style where you have to hold down Alt to show any of the nameplates. Another option is that you can use Alt to hide the names. So names will always show, and then if you press Alt, they will disappear, so your screen won't be cluttered with text. And then lastly, there's an option to toggle showing names on and off by hitting Alt. So the Alt will still be the primary method of showing or not showing names. You just have different options. You can have it show up and fade away, you can toggle it on and off, you can have it constantly showing or have it disappear with Alt. So those are the different options, and I guess let's just get into kind of what we think about this, our opinions, and maybe what we plan to use. Let's start with you, Dylan. First of all, what do you think about all the options? I mean, is this not amazing?
It is. To be perfectly honest, I probably will never stray from their default because I think it's a very elegant solution. But it's the more customization, the better. And I know people really liked the old way, the classic for nostalgia and all. But I think it's very elegant. You can kill your mobs and you'll have your loot drop. But after combat, one quick little hit of a button instead of having to hold it down. You get 10 seconds to see everything that's worth getting. Move on your way. It just makes it a much more seamless interface than, like you said, spamming down Alt the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't really know how that's gonna work. I mean, obviously we're just gonna have to wait and see. I mean, I do think it's a cool idea, but I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of used to having to hit Alt down, and then I feel like if I push it once and I only have 10 seconds, I'm gonna be rushing to try and pick stuff up or see what everything is, so that way I can make it again before the timer runs out. I gotta hit it again, and again. I mean, it's just one key press, but I don't know.
Yeah, but you also have the ability to go back to that classic, so it's all what players
Right.
preference.
Right.
But,
I mean, that was my way of saying I'll probably use the classic functionality again.
but I mean, 10 seconds in the game is a pretty good time. I mean, imagine you generally aren't picking up loot until the end of combat. So, you kill everything, and yes, after, you may have killed them, they may all have faded, but once you're no longer in combat, you're clicking Alt. 10 seconds is a pretty good amount of time to, clean up a screen of loot.
Yeah.
I suppose that's true.
I guess the cool thing I like about the default, and again, we have the option. We mentioned all the different options, but the neat thing I like about the default is that as long as you're paying attention, you'll see if there's anything that is even worth your time. And then if it fades away and it wasn't worth your time, then you can just move on. But if you see something, if you see a piece of gear that seems useful to you, well, then it'll be time to hit Alt again and just snatch it right up. So I think that's pretty neat, just specifically looking at that default.
Yeah, but on the other side of things, you see something that drops and you think it's completely useless, and now it's sitting on there on your screen for 10 seconds while you're trying to still fight.
Yeah,
So,
I suppose. But I mean, didn't you play just holding down Alt consistently anyways? I mean, wasn't that, or did you kind of just do Alt when
yeah,
you're done?
for the most part. But I mean, I don't know. It's kind of hard because in Diablo 2, really, you don't really play. At least, I mean, you don't really play anymore. I mean, if you're in a PvP game, cool, you already know golden years are gonna drop. But if you're playing, like when I'm bailing or, chaos running, yeah, I usually sit there and hold down Alt just so I can pick up the loot before anybody else does.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, now that we have different drop tables, how I don't see the same stuff as you, I don't really need to sit there and hold Alt. I can just do it once and be done.
Yeah.
Damn it. So, okay, so...
Well,
so
yeah.
maybe if...
I mean, either way, we're really kind of arguing for not because we do have all the different options, but Kevin doesn't like the default, so...
Well, yeah, I kind of just talked myself out of using the classic because, I mean, why would I do that when I could just hit it once and be done, like I just said?
Yeah, well, whatever.
But, I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends.
Yeah, I mean, again, either way, we've got the options, so it's pretty neat, pretty cool stuff. I actually kind of like the toggle option. I know that Bashok mentioned that this was his favorite, and that would be you can use Alt. You hit it once, it always shows. You hit it once again, it always hides. That's a pretty neat option.
Yeah, I'm actually just still on Cloud 9 about the gold.
Yeah, and actually, I was going to segue right into that since we had mentioned it initially. What do you guys think about the gold? Dylan's on Cloud 9. You want to explain yourself, or you're just going to leave it at that?
Well, put it this way. I would say that most gold drops during my entire, thousands and thousands of hours of, Diablo 2 were not picked up simply because it was not worth it.
Oh, I know. How many...
you're running all over the place. So
How many times did you go do the Countess and just not even bother picking up all the gold just because it's like 70 key clicks or mouse clicks just to pick it all up?
Exactly.
Yeah, and yeah, no, that's definitely really neat. I like the fact that we'll just be able to kind of vacuum up the gold, and actually specifically to that point, Bashiok did then after that fact answer a question about, well, can we have an option to vacuum up all of the gear? And he said specifically that it's not going to be an option, and they don't have any plans to implement it. And then he goes into further detail saying that I think the argument against such a thing could be that since you're able to pick up and immediately salvage/sell any items without going back to town, they have mentioned in the past that we're going to have ways to get rid of and break down our items while we're out and in the world and fighting. And then as well as just having a great deal more storage space means there's a good reason to pick up everything. I suspect that may not hold true for all levels of play, but we'll see. So yeah, they're not planning on implementing a gear vacuum system, but the gold kind of, I guess we'll call it the vacuum system, is going to be in place. And I think we're all pretty comfortable with that. So
Yeah, I mean, as far as gold goes, I mean, I don't know anybody who can be mad about that because I don't really know anybody who wouldn't want to pick up gold. I mean, if you don't want gold, you're an idiot.
Yeah, and that's actually, and again, I mean, this was actually a pretty lengthy discussion with Bashiok. He even added that very point that gold will be auto pickup because there's never a reason not to pick it up other than how tedious it is. As Dylan was mentioning in Diablo 2, there would be lots of gold you didn't pick up just because it's a pain in the ass. You know, you're playing through normal and there's a gold pile that drops. It's 48 gold. Why waste the time when you can, go into hell and one gold drops like 2,000? You know what I mean? I mean, it doesn't make any sense to do it. It's really like the idea of picking up a penny. I remember my friend Sean, we were figuring out, this is completely random, but we were figuring out basically how much money Bill Gates makes a second. And we found out that it wouldn't be worth it for him to bend over and pick up I think it was a $20 bill, actually. It's not worth a second of his time to pick up a $20 bill. He makes more just continuously walking. Now, as weird as that is, or working or whatever. So the idea is, there are these things, they're just too tedious to make it even valuable and worth your time. So,
But 2,000 gold from killing mobs, are you kidding me?
Well, whatever, you know what I mean?
I would just go into a PvP game and I would just kill everyone outside of the town and pick up like 100,000 gold in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, exactly, and that's the point, because there is no reason to not pick up gold other than it being tedious. They thought it'd be better to just make it so that everyone picks it up just by kind of waltzing right over it, so... All right, next we will be talking about the tiered skill slots and basically how the tier system is going to work and how we'll be dealing with spending our points and also some discussion about cooldowns at the later ends of the tier. So, well, that's about it. The general scheme, the general makeup of our spells and abilities is that the lower tiers, the first few spells and everything that we'll be getting as we're leveling, will be generally less powerful than the later tiers. That seems reasonable. And they'll also be more spammable, and specifically to that point, the later tier items are actually going to have longer cooldowns. And a detailed description of this will be Bashiok responding to how the higher level tiers are going to work and saying that the 3 final skills of the Barbarian tree all currently have 2-minute cooldowns. There are ways to augment those cooldowns slightly, of course, but you're still going to want a mix of skills that complement each other. So what was he referring to? Well, he was just talking about, or should we be saving up all of our skill points till we get to the end of the tiers? There are obviously more powerful skills at the very end, so the more points in them, the better off we are. But if they all have long cooldowns, then you may not want to spend a ton of town points in them for that very reason, because you won't be able to use them often. I mean, with a 2-minute cooldown, are you going to want to spend... What are we looking at for the max per skill? Was it 5 or something? Is that where we're still at?
Yeah, I believe so.
I remember
it was 5 or 7. I thought it was 7, but
yeah, basically I think it goes up as you progress through the difficulties. I think by default it's 5, and then you can potentially raise that above the maximum by like a point or 2. Mm-hmm. But they haven't really. It's still kind of blurry.
Yeah, I remember really early on. I want to say earlier in this year, around January, there were talks about that possibly even going up to 20. Because it was still very hazy. But I think we are looking more around what you two specifically mentioned, the 5 and 7 mark. So am I gonna want to invest 5 or 7 points in this single skill that I can only use every 2 minutes, or will I prefer to use these points and make my lower tier skills that I can spam consistently more powerful? So I guess let's just jump right into it. Kevin, what do you think about that in terms of saving up for the later tier items, even though they're all likely to have longer cooldowns?
I don't really know. I mean, I'm glad that it's going to force us to actually come up with a build strategy instead of just, okay, I'm going to make a Meteor Sorceress and just dump all my points into Meteor and every other synergy that potentially raises Meteor, Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously that's cool. That's just the way of Diablo 2. But for Diablo 3, at least we're going to see a ton of different variety, especially with all the runestones, because now at this point, maybe you'll have 1 or 2 points in an endgame skill, and then maybe you'll be using, I don't know, Bash and I don't know, some other beginning stuff. So that way you get the variety there. You have different potential means of killing enemies without just spamming click or left click, I should say, because right click is cooler.
And how about yourself personally, Dylan? How do you feel about the kind of the skill tier progression and the longer cooldowns at the later end of it?
I mean, obviously we haven't, actually got a chance to, get our hands on them and play them, but very, very optimistic. It adds more strategy to the game, which I always like. I have to say, I don't think I had anything less than 5 high-level sorceresses in Diablo 2, simply because the game rewarded you by picking one skill choice, making it as powerful as possible. So
yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the major arguments behind what they're doing is that they don't want this game to be one-click wonders. They want you to be able to have several varying skills, and the only way they can actually force people to do that realistically, because eventually people, if everything was spammable, eventually people would find the most efficient one for whatever they're doing. If you're grinding lots of large groups of mobs, there'll be a most efficient AoE spell, and you'll just always pick that. So again, their way to circumvent this is to add cooldowns to the more powerful perceived spells.
Well, yeah, in addition, some of them, if you want to make really, really cool, really powerful spells, you can't, just like Diablo 2, once you got to a certain level, the game just became far too easy to be any type of real manageable fun as far as the content, and it became just about getting the best gear. I'm sorry, excuse me. But I went entire axe with using one spell. I mean, I think I went entire difficulty levels. I mean, you can win through all Nightmare using nothing but Frozen Orb, and that's just not as much fun. In addition, it's not as much fun when you cast one spell and everything on the screen dies.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's not very engaging. Now, Kevin, in terms of, do you have any personal experience with kind of one-hit wonders, or were there any makeups that you remember from Diablo 2 that you just consistently were using one or two spells?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I had a couple paladins in my day, so I mean, hammer, that's all you got to do, and then what is it, Fist of the Heaven, FOH? I don't remember.
Yeah, Heaven. It's a PvP.
Yeah, So I mean, basically, as a paladin, you just have either hammer or Fist of the Heavens on one hand, and then an aura on the other.
Yeah.
And then that's it. That's it. And then you just walk around and you just use that one spell the entire game. That's it.
Yep, that's exactly right. It was Blessed Hammer, and then I think it was Concentration Aura.
Yep, Concentration with hammer, and then I don't remember with Fist of the Heavens. I didn't use that much.
Fist of the Heavens wasn't really a PvE; it was just PvP. But Blessed Hammer. There was only one mob in the entire game that wouldn't die from it, and it was the only ability like that. And the funny thing, it was a rare spawn in Act 3 in a dungeon you didn't have to go into.
So completely avoidable.
Exactly.
Yep. So I mean, and that's exactly the thing. I mean, there will be, obviously they could patch stuff like this, but they don't want that to be in the game in the first place. They don't want there to be one all-encompassing spell that you hit nonstop. And so again, how they're going to avoid this is the lower tiers will be spammable, but they won't be as strong as the higher tiers. And we did make mention specifically the barbarian spells and abilities. And as far as we know, we actually know what these are going to be. Last time we were made aware, Call of the Ancients is one of them, in which the barbarian summons three ancients, basically, from Diablo 2, who help fight alongside of him. The second of the last tier is the Earthquake. This is just he stomps on the ground, and it's like massive AoE damage. And then lastly, Wrath of the Berserker, which is a huge buff that makes the barbarian just super strong. So as far as we know, based on what Bashak told us, these 3 abilities for the barbarian, I mean, they sound ridiculous. Call of the Ancients. Here, come over here, huge badass barbarians, and take out everyone for me. The Earthquake sounds absurd. Just massive AoE damage stomping on the ground. So all of these, and then Wrath of the Berserker, of course. All of these sound really powerful. And, I mean, geez, if Earthquake didn't have a cooldown, I would probably spam that and Whirlwind nonstop, and just crush everything. But, I mean, I like this. They're trying to make things more diverse, and they're trying to make it so that, because I don't want to just use one spell nonstop. That's not interesting. The only thing that really kept me playing Diablo 2 at that point was the gear. If they could make the combat more immersive, instead of, as Dylan mentioned, I hit one thing and everything on the screen dies. I mean, come on, that's really not that fun.
Right.
At that point, we were just playing the game for more gear. But I would much prefer if, I could still enjoy the combat. Everyone wants to get powerful, and it's cool to one-shot things, but that's only cool for so long, So yeah, I mean it's pretty interesting, and definitely glad that they're kind of taking this stance on it, and they'll be making it so that things are more, I would say, evenly balanced and will make, again, for more engaging combat.
And I also think there's a whole other side that we haven't explored to yet, where cooldowns lets Blizzard make much more powerful and cool abilities because they're not spammable.
Yeah.
And they're almost more likely to reward you for using it with really cool, animations and sounds like, oh, wait a minute, this is going down, it's this big thing. And
shit's getting real.
Well, exactly, right? I mean, it's like, okay, well, I'm launching off my little magic bolt I'm using, and okay, this and that. And then all of a sudden, all of a sudden you just drop the hammer on this like whole bunch of stupid mobs, and everything gets dark, and huge fiery ball of death comes down and wipes them out. I mean, we all know that's fun.
Yeah. And actually, what I really expect to happen, we don't know, and this may not be the case, but eventually, I fully expect these later tier items to be those one-shot wonders. The kind of the I win button, if you will. That would make sense to me because they've got cooldowns. The Barbarians has 2-minute cooldowns on all of his last 3 tier items. So I expect if I slam Earthquake, everything on the screen better die because there's another 2 minutes till I can use it again. But again, in Diablo 2, whatever spell you spec'd into, that it was the case for everything. Everything was getting one shot, and again, that's not rewarding. So it is much more engaging if we can just have normally be fighting our way through waves of monsters, and then every 2 minutes or whatever the cooldown is for the other classes later tiers, then we can just blow everything up. Now, with that said, as much as I expect this to happen, this kind of poses an issue for a lot of hardcore players because I've seen a lot of arguments on the forums of people saying, so now I'm going to have to sit down and wait for 2 minutes every time before clearing a room. So what do you guys think about this side of the coin here, that they'll still probably be these one-shot wonders or these I win buttons in these later tier spells, but do you feel that if you play hardcore that this is going to slow your progression significantly? Because I'm hearing that argument from a lot of people. Either one of you. I don't doesn't matter.
Well, basically, I mean, I don't think so. Like I was saying, that's the whole point. Now it forces us to have a diverse build as far as our skills go, and I mean, I guess if you really wanted to, you could just sit there and wait for the cooldowns to expire, so that way you could just use every single spell in your arsenal. But at that point, there's really no strategy involved. I mean, you can just dump all of your points in the end, the top tier skills, and be done with it, and then just have one big major battle, and then use those skills, and then wait 2 minutes, and then have another major battle. But I mean, that's not fun. Why would you want to do that?
See, I actually do think it'll make it more difficult for hardcore progression, simply because it'll make the game more difficult. But is that necessarily a bad thing? I mean, if you're playing hardcore...
Exactly. They're calling themselves hardcore, so man up, I mean.
Well, exactly. So it's not... The game's not terribly difficult. I mean, Diablo 2, if you had gear to put onto your character, I mean, you walked over everything. I mean, in fact, I remember going up to go to the bathroom at college, and my Hammerden would be getting attacked by monsters. And literally, I could go to the bathroom and come back, and you'd still be alive.
Right.
And so it takes the whole hardcore out of it, where this way, yes, it's going to make it more difficult, but it's also going to mean there's going to be fewer hardcore players, and because they're fewer, there's going to be the greater sense of being elite, which we all know that we like.
Yeah, everyone loves a huge EP, so well, and I guess the root of that complaint, if I really think about it, the root of in Diablo 2, I could just go from room to room because I had super powerful spells all the time, but now I have to wait every 2 minutes for my most powerful spells, so now it's going to be slow and boring. Well, I guess basically what they're saying is Diablo 2 is hella easy, and now right. Diablo 3 is actually going to require some skill. And if that's your argument, I think that's a pretty poor argument. In D2, I could just one-shot everything on the screen so I could run from room to room to room, but now in D3, I'm going to have to wait to do that? Well, that sucks. So, I mean, that's interesting.
This is totally off tangent, but just talking, I actually just remembered my favorite Diablo 2 experience,
okay.
which was logging under your account putting all your weapons and all your armor in your stash, and leaving you in the Chaos Sanctum after I destroyed your Tomb of Town Portal.
Yeah, those were fantastic times.
That was officially my most favorite Diablo 2 experience.
I'm like, how do I get out of this thing? It's so weird. Oh man.
Naked with no skull of Town Portals. It was perfect.
Yeah, it only takes about 3 hours. So, but yeah, no, it's that's really funny. It's pretty interesting. It really is, and I guess I can understand where the hardcore players are coming from. But like I said, basically your point in that argument is that Diablo 2 is easy, and I could spam room to room, and now I'll have to kind of have some strategy, because they're saying, I'm gonna want to wait every 2 minutes to use my powerful spell just in case I walk into a room that's too dangerous. So I don't know. That's pretty interesting. But overall, I'm happy with this because yes, it will make things more strategic, more engaging, and more enjoyable. So I guess that pretty much does it for discussion about tiered skills. Let's move on now to discussion of the auction house. All right, so we've been speculating about the auction house for quite some time, and unfortunately I don't really have any new information for you. But when asking about the auction house, and there was actually discussion, the recent troll that we had who was pretending to be a playtester, he mentioned kind of a market system, blah, blah, blah. He's just talking out of his rear anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But specifically, Bashog mentioned that they've got a really exciting announcement soon, and it is specifically regarding the trade system. Soon was marked with the TM, of course, the trademark Blizzard soon, which could mean anywhere between now and the end of the universe. but I mean, obviously we're pretty much expecting to hear about this on the 27th at the latest. So soon is pretty actually soon, within probably the next 3 weeks or so. What he said about it though is that he thinks it's something that people will be really psyched about, if not passionately indifferent, which is pretty an interesting phrase, passionately indifferent. But yeah, so we're gonna get something soon, essentially, is what we're looking at. There's no new information, but soon enough we'll be hearing something about the trade system. And once more, I expect that on the 27th upcoming Blizzard Diablo Media event. All right, so let's go ahead and wrap up the poll from last week, and then we'll be discussing this week's poll. Now, during last week's poll, we asked you how you feel about item selling. We had a big discussion, kind of a unplanned discussion about item selling in Diablo 3 and how it's going to look. And the number one vote was no stores, coming in at 55%. You guys decided I do not like the idea of stores. But in second place, we had the vanity items, that's pretty much what I expected. Vanity items had about 26% of your votes, and I guess that's really the sentiment that I expected the community to express. Lots of people are against stores, but if anything, throw some vanity items in there. It really doesn't affect anyone whatsoever. So there you go, guys. Thank you for sharing your opinions on possible stores in Diablo 3. And Kevin, why don't you go ahead and let everyone know about this week's poll?
So this week we're going to just base it off what we were talking about earlier about the alt options, and we want to know what you guys plan on using. So as far as the options go, we have the Diablo 3 default, which is the default option. What happens is when an item drops, it lets it show for 10 seconds and then disappears or fades away, whatever, and then you can hit it again to show it for another 10 seconds. The classic functionality, which is just like Diablo 2, you hit Alt if you want to see stuff, let go if you don't want to see the item names. And then what we have here is what we're calling, I guess, reverse classic or counter classic. I don't really know. We just kind of pulled that one out of our behinds. So you can choose to always show the item names and hold Alt to hide them. So obviously it's the exact opposite of the classic functionality. And then we have the toggle, which you can permanently toggle items showing on or off. And then of course we have the no pickup option, though this isn't, Blizzard really isn't sure what they're going to be doing with this. They said it's kind of a nice thing to have. Essentially all it does is stops you from picking items up at all. So I mean, if you're one of those people that don't want to pick anything up the entire game and you just want to run around naked, that option's for you.
All right, so there you go, guys. That is this week's poll. Go ahead and head on over to DiabloFans.com, sign into your account, and you can vote for this week's poll. And then lastly, we will be wrapping things up, as always, with user questions. All right, so the first question this week from the Facebook page is coming from Richard. And Richard asks, this is actually kind of an engaging question, that's why I picked this one. He asks, what would you be doing the day the Diablo 3 hits stores? Basically, imagine you went through midnight release, you're holding your copy, and you're on your way to a computer. So he's asking if we plan to be at the midnight release, if we're going to be doing anything during that time. Basically, what is our first experience with the retail copy of Diablo likely to be? Well, you know what? In all honesty, I typically personally like digital downloads, but midnight events are pretty awesome as well. And I feel like, especially with Diablo, it'd be really cool to head down to a midnight event. With that said, I might still pre-download the game because I think you can do that. I think you can download the client, and then I'll just pick up my retail copy, and then I can just enter that CD key. So that is probably what I'll be doing. I'll probably end up going to a midnight event. What will I be doing while I install? That's not safe for work. And, and then he asks, will I watch the intro movies or skip to gameplay? I'll watch the intro movies, probably not initially though, because I just want to play the game. Will I be pulling an all-nighter? Obviously, that's going to happen. Dylan, you'll be up all night too. You really have no choice. Kevin could very well be there, although we've got a time zone difference. It'll be earlier for you, you lucky bastard.
Oh, yeah.
And
you
then
guys are up all night with me. You guys are lame.
I need sleep.
He asks if I'm going to be taking time off work. Well, this is my work, so not really.
Yeah.
And then single-player Battle.net first, multiplayer, obviously. One of my major concerns, this is actually a great question for that last point there about single-player Battle.net first. Like, I want to jump right into the arena, but I know that I should wait till I level up and get gear. So it's probably going to be torture, but I may very well end up waiting till 60 to do the arena. And that will be frustrating for me. Unless they somehow, which I don't expect them to, but unless they, for some odd reason, reward XP, but I don't think that's going to happen, so... do you guys have anything to add to any of those points in terms of what you plan on doing the night of, or how are you going to pick up the game?
I'm not sleeping for the first week, so
Sleep? What is that?
Exactly.
I don't know what sleep is. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to probably pre-order the collector's edition, and then I'll probably end up doing the same thing as you, the digital download, just so I can get it ahead of time. But I don't know. Maybe I'll go to some midnight release, as I am a badass.
Okay, Kevin.
Who wouldn't want my autograph, right?
What about you, Dylan? Do you think you'll be doing... I actually, knowing you, I don't expect you to do a midnight release, but I don't know. Maybe. What do you think?
See, I really don't know. It's either... It's the fact that you can do it online so easily.
Yeah.
It's going to midnight release, which is all good. Maybe if you do one, I'll go with you. But... that's also missing out on an hour of beta time, and I know it doesn't sound like a lot because we'll have it for good, but that's pretty huge. I mean, you have all the stuff you can do, and I don't know. I like the idea of playing as fast as possible.
Yeah, I probably agree with you. And then I got one more question. This one coming from, I believe it's Kyle. It's Cyle. I've never seen that spelling of the name. But he asks, will Force have a contest to play with fans when Diablo 3 comes out? I will most certainly be playing with fans. One of probably the most unfortunate things about the way that the game is structured right now is with the 4-player cap, it means you kind of have less friends to play with. But I'll still, I'll be online a lot, and I'll certainly be playing with any of you fans in the community. So there you go. Why don't we go next to you, Kevin? You have any questions from the list here that you'd like answered?
Sure. So Edwards is asking, are you able to use the same character in PvE as well as PvP? And it seems like kind of a simple question, but I thought maybe we can have a little discussion about it. And I mean, obviously the answer is yes, you can use the same character in PvE and PvP. But now there's a difference between being able to and being viable. Now, Blizzard, as we already know, is planning on basing the game around PvE. Balancing the game around PvE. However, the PvP is going to have a different, though for the most part similar set of skills. The only thing that they're really going to be doing is maybe toning down some stuff. So maybe like a 10-second stun is not going to be 10 seconds in PvP because that would be a little bit ridiculous. So maybe we can turn this into, am I going to be using the same character? And I guess that's going to be iffy because I'm planning on playing a wizard, and I guess it's just going to all depend on if I'm going to be playing with the two of you and a team or something along those lines. Because obviously, if I'm going to PvP, I want to win. I'm not going to do it just to lose. Who does that? So obviously we're gonna have to strategize a little bit, but I'm gonna be going wizard and probably demon hunter next. So I don't know. I guess it really depends on what the composition of my team is. You guys want to add anything?
Well, in terms of just the characters and what you'll be choosing to do for between PvE and PvP, was that specifically the question? I'm sorry, I spaced out. Wicked bad.
No, it's basically he wanted to know if you can use the same character in PvE and PvP.
Yeah, right.
I just figured we could make it into something a little more funsy and
I most certainly have undiagnosed ADD, but I'm not taking medicine for anything. Screw that. So yeah. Well, I mean, my most likely that what I'm probably going to do is I'll probably have, even though respecs are in the game, I guarantee I'll have 2 different characters, one for PvE grinding and one for solely PvP. Just because it's probably going to cost a lot of gold, and given that gold's kind of valuable, we're probably not going to be able to readily switch back and forth specs unless I don't expect them, and I don't think they're going to have dual specking. So yeah, chances are that I'll be using one primary character for PvP purposes, and then just farming gear on a PvE focused character to transfer over to my PvP character. Since, as we've discussed in the past, nothing's bound, so there's nothing stopping you from doing that. So yeah, I mean, that's I guess that's my plan. Did I answer that question?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. I'm just not sure if I don't know. All right, Dylan, what about you? You got any insight to throw in here?
As far as that, yeah, I'm pretty much sure that my character is going to be designed to kill other people because that's what I like. But I'm going to answer questions that do we plan, if there is a guild system, to have a guild for fans of 4-Strategy Gaming. And I know you and I talked about it, and there definitely is a plan in the works as long as that function is available. And as long as there is a way of muting guild chat.
muting annoying them? No, just kidding.
And no, there really is. I mean, I think I'm the person that created in our WoW guild the Void rank where people didn't have chat.
Yeah, there you go.
You could put annoying people. But no, I know that you wanted to give back to loyal fans. So as far as that, as long as there's an option, you will find a FSG guild.
Yeah, and I'm sure, Kevin, I'm sure you plan on having a Diablo fans clan
probably.
or guild as well. I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll have one giant guild or something. Nobody knows what's going to happen. But
yeah, there's 2. We'll have to embarrass Kevin by destroying it.
That's terrible. All right, you got any more questions there, Dylan or Kevin? Anything else that we wanted to get answered?
There's a certain someone here who wants to know why we aren't funny without Cyber Dragon.
Oh, and who is that someone?
I wonder our friendly.
Hey, I think we know this guy. I think his name is Cyber Dragon.
That's weird. Tyler, it's not that we're not funny without you. It's just that we don't screw up as much without you here. No, we miss Cyber Dragon. We'd love to have him on board as well. But he's got stuff going on, and schedules don't always match up. But I guess he's right. We're not that funny, are we? All right, well then I guess that pretty much does it for this week's DiabloCast. As always, we thank you guys so much for listening or watching or whatever you want to call it. So for Kevin and for Dylan, thank you guys again, and we will see you next time.
All right, take it easy, everyone.
All right, see you next week.
Neither can I.
Yeah, I swear to God, Dennis, if you don't tell me, I'm putting your phone number in your picture at a girl's fat camp.
At a girl's fat camp.
Where else?
Funny, it's like, yeah, call this number for a great time.
I love a picture of Dennis flexing without his shirt on.
I don't think I have any other kinds of pictures. So
it's true. When you were working out, it was so bad every time I saw you had your shirt off. We're at the top. We go climbing, right? And we're at the top of the mountain, and he's just like, "All right, let's have lunch." And you just see him pull his shirt off. How does taking your shirt have anything to do with lunch?
It was hot.
No, it was not. We all had hoodies on because you're at the top of a mountain, you asshole. It was freezing.
I've got no excuse for that. I blame my parents for not hugging me enough. I'm seriously cereal, guys.
That's right. That's shit. I'm trying to remember what it was. I was watching one of your videos the other day, and you're saying a word totally wrong, and I'm trying to remember what it was.
Oh, I'm sure there was more than one. Man, I dropped out of freshman English for a reason.
You're retarded.
When we were younger, Dennis and another friend of ours, Sean, they would try to sneak into my house when I was playing Diablo.
It wasn't when you were playing Diablo. It's because you slept till noon every day.
There's nothing wrong with that.
And we got up at like 8 or 9. And
Yeah, because you guys are stupid. It was like summer vacation. Why are you getting up at 8? Fucking scrubs.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
I got up at 10 for you guys. That's early.
yeah.
Okay, what do you think's more natural during summer vacation? Getting up at 8 or getting up at 12?
Getting up at 12.
Exactly.
Well, that's 12 is natural in anyone's book.
I just like sleeping until my eyes open. It's like so amazing just to just do that.